Once upon a time, there was a father named Thomas. Thomas was very strict with his son, Max. He believed that discipline was the key to raising a good child.
No Sundays for you.
He'd say when Max asked for a treat. Thomas believed that sweets were unnecessary and would spoil Max. When Max wanted to go fishing, Thomas would shake his head and say,
Absolutely not. We're staying home. There's work to be done.
One day, a stray dog wandered onto their porch. It was a small, scruffy dog with big, hopeful eyes. Max wanted to keep him. He felt an instant connection with the dog. He even named the dog Sparky. Max dreamed of having a loyal companion.
No dogs.
Thomas declared, shooing the poor pup away. Max was sad. He felt a deep sense of loss. He loved animals, especially dogs. They brought him joy and comfort. He wished his dad wasn't so strict. Max often wondered why his father couldn't see how happy a dog would make him. That night, Thomas had a strange dream. He found himself in a dark forest. The trees were tall and the leaves whispered in the wind. Strange creatures surrounded him. They had glowing eyes and carried tiny spears. The creatures spoke in high-pitched voices. They accused Thomas of being unkind. They said he needed to be put on trial. Thomas was scared. He didn't understand what was happening. He had always believed he was a good father.
What is going on? I thought I was doing the right thing.
Thomas was taken to a clearing in the woods. The air was thick with enchantment, and the trees seemed to whisper secrets of old. There was a tiny judge with a long white beard, sitting on a high wooden bench carved with intricate designs of forest creatures. And to Thomas's surprise, there was Sparky, his loyal companion, standing in the middle of the clearing. The dog looked at Thomas with sad eyes, eyes that seemed to hold 1,000 unspoken words and emotions. Sparky was the star witness. He stood tall, his fur glistening under the dappled sunlight filtering through the trees. He told the court how Thomas wouldn't let Max keep him. His voice, though a dog's, was filled with a clarity that left everyone in awe. He whimpered as he described how scared he was to be all alone. The forest seemed to echo his sorrow, amplifying his loneliness.
I was so scared and lonely. The nights were cold and the shadows seemed to come alive. I just wanted a home, a place where I could feel safe and loved, where I could belong.
The creatures gasped. Their eyes widened in disbelief and empathy for Sparky's plight. They thought Thomas was being very mean. Their disapproving glances bore into him, making him feel small and ashamed.
This is very serious. The judge's voice was stern, echoing through the clearing like a thunderclap. Thomas, you must understand the consequences of your actions. The weight of his words hung heavy in the air, a reminder of the responsibility we all bear for our choices.
Section 4. A baby again.
The judge slammed his tiny gavel. He declared Thomas guilty. Thomas's punishment was to become a baby again.
He felt a strange tingling sensation. He shrank and shrank until he was just a tiny baby lying in a cradle. Thomas looked up at the creatures. He couldn't speak. He couldn't explain himself. He was helpless. Just then he woke up. Section 5. A change of heart.
Thomas sat up in bed. His heart was racing. Was it real or just a dream? He looked over at Max, sleeping soundly. He thought about Sparky, who was probably still lost and alone.
Thomas knew what he had to do. He went outside and found Sparky sitting on the porch.
Come here, boy, Thomas said, his voice full of kindness.
He decided to let Max keep Sparky. Section 6. Lessons learned. This chapter delves into the profound realizations and changes that Thomas experienced as a father.
The next morning, Thomas woke Max up early. He had a special plan in mind to make the day memorable for both of them. Get your fishing rod, he said with excitement. We're going fishing. Max's eyes lit up with joy as he hurried to get ready. And on the way home, they stopped for Sundays. It was a simple treat, but it meant the world to Max.
Max was so happy. The day had been perfect, filled with laughter and bonding. He finally had a dog. It was a dream come true for him, and he couldn't stop smiling, and his dad was being so nice. Thomas's demeanor had changed, and Max felt closer to him than ever before. Thomas had learned his lesson. He realized that being strict all the time wasn't the way to be a good father. He realized that he needed to balance discipline with kindness. He needed to be kind and understanding. He needed to be there for Max, not just as a disciplinarian, but as a friend and a guide. He needed to create happy memories with his son, memories that Max would cherish forever, and he was glad that he had finally learned that lesson. It was a turning point in their relationship, one that brought them closer together.